ये छुट्टी की दरख्वास्तें हैं। Engineer Usman Tarakai has requested for the grant of leave for 10th May. Is leave granted? Granted. Mahdoom Basit Bukhari has requested for the grant of leave for 10 May. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Muhammad Najib Harun Sahab has requested for the grant of leave from 24 to 29 May. Is leave granted? Granted. Ms. Shagufta Jamani has requested for the grant of leave from 24 to 31st May. Is leave granted? Granted. Meher Irshad Ahmad Khan has requested for the grant of leave from 24th to 31st May. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Abdul Shakur Shah has requested for the grant of leave for the whole current session. Is leave granted? Granted. Raja Khurram Shehzad Nawaz has requested for the grant of leave for the whole current session. Is leave granted? Granted. Chaudhry Muhammad Shehbaz Babar has requested for the grant of leave for the whole current session. Is leave granted? Granted. Sayyid Ghulam Mustafa Shah has requested for the grant of leave for 27 and 28. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Ramesh Lal has requested for the grant of leave for 27 and 28. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Zulfikar Ali Behan has requested for the grant of leave for 27 and 28. Is leave granted? Granted. Chaudhry Hussain Ilahi has requested for the grant of leave from 20th to 26th February, 4 to 6 March. Is leave granted? Granted. Chaudhry Monis Elai has requested for the grant of leave from 20th to 26th February, 4 to 6 March, 25th, 26th April, 2nd and 3rd and 10 May. Is leave granted? Granted. Chaudhry Salih Hussain has requested for the grant of leave from 21st to 26th February, 4, 25th, 26th, 30 April, 2nd, 3rd, 10 and 13 May 2019. Is leave granted? Granted. Ms. Zille Huma has requested for the grant of leave for the whole current session due to illness. Is leave granted? Granted. Ms. Noreen Farooq Khan has requested for the grant of leave for 27 and 28. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Aurangzeb Khan Kichi has requested for the grant of leave from 24 to and 29 May. Is leave granted? Granted. Sayyid Imran Ahmad Shah has requested for the grant of leave for 27 and 28. Is leave granted? Granted. Sayyid Khurshid Ahmad Shah has requested for the grant of leave from 27 May till the conclusion of the session. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Abdul Qadir Patel has requested for the grant of leave from 27 to 30th. Is leave granted? Granted. Malik Karamat Ali Kokar has requested for the grant of leave from 27 May till the conclusion of the session. Is leave granted? Granted. Nawabzada Shahzain Bukti has requested for the grant of leave from 27 to 31st. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Zahid Akram Durrani has requested for the grant of leave for the all current session. Is leave granted? Granted. Sardar Ayaz Sadiq has requested for the grant of leave from 27 to 30th May. Is leave granted? Granted. Mr. Jamil Ahmad Khan has requested for the grant of leave for 30th May. Is leave granted? Granted. Ms. Kawal Shazab has requested for the grant of leave for 24th May. Is leave granted? Granted. MashaAllah, puri assembly chutti pe. Item number 2, calling attention. Raja Khurram Nawaz. Not present. Second कौन है इसमें? Item number 3, motion under rule. Mohammad Ali Mohammad Khan, please.
शुक्रिया स्पीकर साहब। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sir, I want to move under Rule 244B of the Rule of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the National Assembly 2007, that in view of the motion adopted by Senate of Pakistan on 13/5/2019, this House may authorize the Speaker, National Assembly, to nominate 15 members of the National Assembly to include them in the Parliamentary Committee to protect minorities from forced conversions. The Honorable Speaker, National Assembly may also be authorized to make changes in the composition of the committee for members belonging to National Assembly as and when